We've had this great opportunity. There are 4 administrators from the Sandwich Public Schools who will be taking a trip next week during what for everyone else is school vacation week to Beijing, China. And this is all has grown out of a partnership that we have with an organization called Boston Ivy. And Boston Ivy, for the past 5 years, has been bringing students here to Sandwich. A lot of people are familiar with this program because they have acted as host families. And students in grades 3 through 6 have come and stayed with host families here in Sandwich. Usually one of their teachers comes with them, their principal will come with them. They'll have a group of chaperones. And they spend some time with the host family doing family things, American family things. They spend some time at our school attending classes, and then they do field trips. So the sponsors and their chaperones bring them on trips to New York City for a day, and they also make sure that they get to MIT and Harvard to tour those campuses with these guys. And
some like future prospective thinking.
Exactly, that's what they're thinking, and it's not unusual to have busloads of kids, from my understanding, at MIT each day. So it's been a fun partnership. A lot of our Sandwich families have really enjoyed having these kids from China. It's really eye-opening. We of course can read and watch movies and have other ways to understand other cultures, but there's nothing like actually living with someone from another culture. And that, of course, is why those kids come from China to Sandwich. They want that experience of an American culture. So our part now is to have some of us visit in China. We are going, as I said, for a full week. There's a group of about 20 educators, administrators from the Cape who are also going with us. We'll be in a group, and we'll be doing presentations to groups of Chinese educators. So the organizer, Wendy Wu is her name, she lives on the Cape and she works for Boston Ivy, and she said that when she started to work with the schools in China and say that this group of educators was coming, there was huge interest. They all want to come to our presentations. So we all have a different topic that we're going to present to the Chinese educators. And we tried to choose topics, things that we knew that are very kind of American, right? That are very different from the way they might be doing things. My colleague Paula Chambers is doing a presentation about STEM education. And we just found out 80 people have signed up for her presentation. So she's nervous, she's excited, she's flattered. That's an important topic to her, and that's an important topic to these educators we'll meet in China. I'm going to talk about the growth mindset, which is something very important to me, and it's also very American. You know, the idea that our capacity is not something we're born with, it's something that we can develop over time, is a very American idea. And so that's why I chose to share that one with the folks in China. And my colleague Jen Kirk is going to talk about reading and writing workshop. She chose that idea because when the Chinese students and their principals have been here in the US and they've witnessed the way that we teach reading and writing, it's very different and unusual to them. Trish Hill is the 4th person who's coming with us. She's the principal of the Oak Ridge School, and they know her already in China. We've been told that she should expect people to recognize her and know her name because she's been the gracious host for the past 5 years for these kids have come. And she's been literally a gracious host because as the parent of students that age, she's also hosted some of the Chinese kids in her home. So she's had them both in her school and her home. So we're looking forward to this. We're looking forward to having this opportunity to kind of bring American culture to China and share what we know and our perspective on things with the Chinese educators.
So what kind of people are going to be in the audience? Is it going
to be strictly teachers or faculty, headmasters? Or?
Yeah, I know that we're having some meetings with superintendents and other administrators, but I believe that there will be some teachers in the audience. That's our understanding.
So it's just going to be kind of a big smattering of it all.
Yeah, yeah,
Neat.
yeah.
So how much is it going to be of the lectures, and how much is it going to be like free time for you?
So we'll be visiting schools. We'll be doing our presentations. We'll also be visiting schools. It's our understanding that there's a group from Wareham of youngsters, elementary age kids, who are going to be over there at the same time. So we'll have the opportunity, I hope, to see American kids in China in their schools, just like we've seen the Chinese kids in our school.
That's crazy to have the Wareham. Like,
Yeah.
it could have been anywhere in America,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Needham has been doing it for a few years, and we've heard about that. I don't see us doing that in Sandwich. What I would like to see in Sandwich is an opportunity for our older students, our middle and high school students, to visit China. And a lot of our middle and high school students will have been the kids who had the Chinese visitors when they were in 3rd through 6th grade. So we're going to be visiting schools. We're doing our presentations. My sense is we're there taking away the travel time, which is significant, of course. We're there for about 5 days, Monday through Friday. And my expectation is 3 to 3.5 of those days will be doing work in the schools. And we'll probably have a day to a day and a half to be true tourists in China.
And this is in Beijing only, right?
Yes, we're in Beijing. Yep.
Wow, that is a blast of a trip.
It is.
5 days.
5 days. They're bringing us to the Great Wall. So I'm looking forward to that, and a couple of other kind of touristy places. But I think in a way it's going to be an interesting opportunity because we're going to be not there as tourists. We're there almost, it's a business trip, right? The business is, I mean, education isn't a business. We can't think of it that way, but it is a business trip as educators. And so we'll be interacting with people as professionals, as colleagues, and we'll probably learn a lot about them and learn a lot about the Chinese perspective in ways you wouldn't necessarily if you were visiting as a tourist.
Well, I think it's, well, I mean, looking at it as a business is kind of tough, but at the same time, companies do it all the time.
Yeah.
Like they travel around the world and they take and they admire different aspects of different cultures, so this is great.
Yeah,
to
it
know
is.
what they're doing, to know what you're doing, and to make the best virtually.
Yeah, it's an educational opportunity, and it's really interesting for me because as I've been reflecting on what I do know about Chinese education, I find that I'm always really proud of what we do in Sandwich and the kind of education we provide for our students and the what our schools represent. I'm always proud of Sandwich. And when I think about this visit to China and what I know about Chinese education, I'm really kind of super proud to be bringing what we know about kids and how they learn to the Chinese educators. So, but I'm going to have an open mind and be ready to learn from them as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then can you talk about the actual act of going to China and how you feel right now? Like just
So
nervousness?
we're all a little nervous about the whole trip. I'm finding that I'm spending a lot of time thinking about the details for the trip, where I don't typically. I'm kind of a last minute throw things in the bag kind of a person when
Like
I
as far
go
as
anywhere.
logistics
The
and-
logistics, the feeling like I need anything I might possibly need, I need to have with me. So that's kind of interesting. We had we had vaccinations in order to prepare for the trip. We had to have a visa. Typically when I've traveled, I haven't needed a visa. I've simply had a passport. So arranging for the visa ahead of time is something you have to think through. The trip itself is a 13-hour flight. It's a nonstop flight from Boston to Beijing.
It's nonstop.
It's nonstop, which is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we leave at 5 p.m. on Saturday. When we arrive there, it will feel to us like 6 a.m., right? But in Beijing time, it will be, I believe, 5 or 6 p.m. So then you have to think about whether it's a good idea to sleep on the plane or not sleep on the plane. What do I bring to read on the plane? It's kind of entertaining to me how much I'm thinking about the whole packing and planning.
That makes sense.
It
For such
makes
a big
sense,
Trip.
yeah.
You want to make sure you're not wasting any time.
That's right.
Feeling tired or
That's right.
disorganized when you get
Yeah, and you want to be on your best,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm trying to avoid jet lag and all of those things. But coming back, we have a stop in Seattle for 4 hours, and we arrive back in Boston after midnight on Sunday night. So it truly is the full, the travel is on the weekends, and the Seattle stop will be long enough to get out and walk around, which is a good thing. So
Anything you're really excited about as far as besides the education aspect, but just going to a different country?
going to a different country. I mean, I would never have had the opportunity to go to China, and so I'm really grateful for that. And it is, the Boston Ivy people have just determined that it's important to them to have administrators understand the partnership and the cultural exchange, and so as a result, they're paying for us all to go over there. And so I do appreciate that, and I appreciate that opportunity. So in that regard, yeah, just the chance to go to China is, I know I'll be really glad that I did it.